Hello. Today's lesson we are going to talk about stylistic devices, and I will name some of them, the most frequent one, and just as I think that very interesting and most frequently used, and sometimes some of them are really just hard to understand by students. And actually this lesson will be very useful as for students and for teachers who deal with literature, not only regarding reading and knowing the plot of it, but who is very interested in analyzing the text. I mean close reading, annotating the text, and finding the real resources and techniques that methods that are used by authors in order to emphasize the meaning and help us to understand the point of view, the perspectives of the writer. So the dictionary can says this, and you can find the definition easily. So literary devices they are so-called techniques that writers use to engage their readers beyond the literal meaning of the text. So actually the literary device is somehow like a tricky things that writers are used to in order to emphasize the word choice, vocabulary that they choose, and each writer, author use some definite types of literary devices in which they are more skillful and keen in, and by some stylistic device, even looking at some extracts of the text, you can easily guess the author and maybe the time when it was written. So let's see some examples. So the main frequent one, and in all the time people and authors like to use this stylistic device, it's called simile. So it is comparing one thing to another through using the words like or as. So there are some examples. For example, he ran like a cat, lightly and quietly. So here is the word like, and so we actually we identify the features of the animal and give it to a person. So we compare a human with the animal. So her blue mood passed as quickly as an afternoon rain shower. So again, there is a comparison when we compare her mood, how it quickly changed, like the weather in the afternoon. So this simile, when the author wants to identify the exact features of some word or adjectives, or how he identifies a person or character, they actually can emphasize and give us the exact meaning that the author means. So it's somehow like a hidden information, which the author wants us to know about. And another, similar to the previous one, there is a metaphor. Metaphor is also a comparison of two unlikely things, but in this case you wouldn't find the words like or as. And without these words, but still the author is comparing some features of things or ideas with other things. So for example, he was a statue waiting to hear the news. So there is a metaphor when we compare a person, in this case he, with an unliving feature, a statue. So in this case the author wants to identify the actual statement when he was really freezing and was very tension about listening to the news. She was a mother hen trying to take care of everyone around her. So here the author identifies the person, in this case she, or with a mother hen. So as you know, like from the nature, observing the nature of things, so mother hen is actually trying to hold and keep her chickens from everything, and the same happened with this character. And there is no like similarity, like words like as, but still we can find the comparison, and the author wants to identify and to show how close these features were to some people. And there you can find on the picture some other examples of metaphors, like your friend George is just a big baby. So we are comparing a really grown-up child with a baby. And you are my guardian angel. So we are comparing a person with an angel, and lots of others. Actually, people are use them in even not in written speech, but in this oral communication, without even just thinking that it is a metaphor. They just compare the thing because they want to emphasize the meaning and emphasize their attitude, his attitude towards this person. And through this metaphor, through this stylistic device, our speech, our written and oral communication becomes very beautiful and add more colors to it. Another stylistic device is a hyperbole. So hyperbole, if you can just get any similarities with math, so it is exaggeration. So when we overestimate something, when we exaggerate purposely, or just we do it just accidentally, or when we want to emphasize something, or our attitude or the attitude of another person. So there is a good example. So I'm hungry. I'm so hungry. I could eat entire buffet at Golden Corral right now. So there is a clear exaggeration that a person can eat a buffet, but you know this can be done. And hyperbole is like through hyperbole, people can show their real eagerness, or when they are really frightened, or to identify the quality, the size of the emotions. And in most cases, authors use this hyperbole to when during describing the dialects between some characters. And here is like a very often use this in the works like a play when characters talking to each other. The next stylistic device is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is actually like the words that imitate the sound it represents. So like crunch, zap, zip, so tick tock. So when the author adds the sound of some subject, and we actually hear, for example, the heart was beating, and the wind was wheeling. And there is on the picture you can find some examples of onomatopoeia, like strap, crack, splash. So through this, the author wants to show what exact sounds the hero heard and what impression it gave to her. And when someone is moving slightly on the floor and trying not to make some sounds, but then suddenly some some sounds appears. So it's much easier for example, for producers of the movie to create the sounds represented through sound. But when you are writing and when you want to show to the audience what exact sounds and how the character heard this and how he was influenced by this, this stylistic device can actually help you and make your dialect and your description more vivid. The next stylistic device is personification. So personification is when the author, the writer, use some qualities of objects or animals and give it to a human. For example, my car drank the gasoline in one gulp. So we know that the cars can't drink, but still this feature of a human is given to a thing, to a car. The cat laughed. So cats can't laugh, but the author added it and wanted to show how the character see this. The newspaper headline glared at me. So again, it's impossible for a headline to stare, to watch us, but this says like that a headline was really screaming and attracting the attention of the character. So personification really helps us to identify some features, and actually the people are very just familiar with the features and qualities they have, and when the author uses personification, they can actually, by the help of their experience, they can easily understand what the author means. Alliteration is another stylistic device. So alliteration is a repetition of the same consonant sounds. This is Mostly, in most cases, alliteration is used for creating some kind of rhythm or some music, to add some musical features to the text. And here is an example, like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. So this is a tongue twister. Firstly, the tongue twisters is serving like to practice your speaking skills and to master your pronouncing skills. But on the other hand, the sound per is the repetition of some consonants, in this case per, and some repetition, for example, of sound sh. It's very hard to pronounce it with every word, and through this it also wants their reader to feel the tension. And to feel the tension the same that the character has. And through reading you can really feel this, and then you can understand what feelings, and then you can somehow predict the doings of this character. Symbolism is also another good example of stylistic devices, and if you read very classical works of English writers, and not only English, in most cases they prefer this, and even not in the big novels, but also the authors of the short stories, they like to, they use this stylistic device, symbolism, to show and to represent some ideas. So symbolism is using an object or some action that means something, and more than its literal meaning. So, for example, pink symbolism. Pink symbolizes the fight against breast cancer. So you know the symbol of people fighting against the cancer, and this pink is a symbol of this. For example, the Statue of Liberty is also a symbolism of freedom. And there can be some others, like a symbol of darkness and injustice. They can be like a black color that is used to describe some objects in the story. Another very interesting example is paradox, stylistic device that reveals a truth which at first seems contradictory. And here's like a picture that can somehow represent this stylistic device. So here is an example. He was cowardly and brave at the same time. So, and in this case, the author wants the reader to understand the mixture of these feelings that the person expressed. So he was cowardly and brave at the same time. So a person, it's very difficult to imagine this person that who is coward from the one side, but who is brave enough. So the author wants to show us that he doesn't know what to do, and he's in the his state of mind and a mood can be easily represented by a paradox when some character is not sure what to do. And when you win all the time, you lose. So again, a paradox. How can you win when you lose? But at the same time, you can really find the answer that each time you get the knowledge of yourself and you win, for example, your cowardness or became more brave. So here is the paradox, but not all authors like to use this. And in most cases, like real literal works, like from 19th century, the authors of this period, they like to use this stylistic device. Allusion, it's a casual reference to a famous historical literal figure or event. And here is not just for Wayne, there's a picture of this horse, Trojan horse. And if it doesn't stop raining, I'm going to build an ark. So there is an allusion. So we know that ark was built in the Greece, and there is like our background knowledge help us to understand that their character wants to emphasize something, that it was very important, or he was tired of this. So Masita has so many pets, I'm going to call myself Old MacDonald. So again, everyone, or almost everyone, knows who is MacDonald, and in this case, there is no necessity to describe anymore what does it mean to, and when you just recall the memories of the cartoons where McDonald has got, and you see that there are lots of dogs, lots of pets, and the same happened with this character. So allusions somehow help us to not to describe so detailedly some events, but when you mention something or some historical thing like a Trojan horse, and you understand what is the meaning, because some very famous historical events is in the background knowledge of almost every person. Imagery. This is when a writer invokes the five senses. So you know that we have five senses like visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and for example in this, the smell reminded him of rotted tomatoes. Again, they also want us to remember this smell when the tomatoes are getting fried, and you can actually feel this. And you can feel the same feelings, the same smell that the character has. The fence was uneven, like baby teeth growing awkwardly. So here is in brackets written like also it can be a simile, but also there is like imagery, so you can easily imagine, and everyone knows that babies has got these uneven teeth, and you can imagine this fence, how it looks like. So imagery is mostly based on the imagination, and also they try to choose a proper images that can be recalled easily by any person, any reader. So idiom. Idiom is a very wide used phrases, so expression with a meaning different from the literal meaning of the word. So in the idiom, not each word carries the meaning, but the whole phrase can be translated or understand. And here is an example. I got cold feet before my big date, so it means I was scared. For example, my boss said yes, and we can represent like my boss gave me the green light, and such kind of idioms. Again, there is when the book is written, there is a modern trend to use some idioms. Then they became older, and through time, there is more than 10 idioms that just actually run out of time, and no one uses this. But there is a lot of dictionaries that can help you to understand the idioms and create your own idiom. When you don't translate each word, but when you understand the phrase in general. Another stylistic device is oxymoron. It's just juxtaposition of opposite terms. So, for example, like in the picture, there is like a contradiction of the stop sign and keep moving. So a peaceful, a dangerous, tight word, dark sunshine. So it is peaceful and at the same time dangerous. So there is a oxymoron when we use opposite features of something, but at the same time we can identify, and we let the audience, the real reader, to choose what is more appropriate and what he would like to have for his character. And clichés. So clichés in like expressions, and they lost its power or originality from overuse. So through time, they just became like a real clichés. For example, talking a mile, and we are not understand that the person took too much, and we can measure it through miles, but we understand that it's just talking too much. So a talkative person, or quiet as a mouse. So we just add the quality feature of a mouse that it's very, it doesn't give much sound, and we address this feature to the character. Easy as pie, and it doesn't mean that we will actually cook the pie, but it means that it's so easy that anyone can do this. So this phrase is a combination of words. They were so overused that they became like stable and like a clichés. And sometimes people even don't think like it was actually made for some cases, and they just used inappropriate situation. And authors like to use this, but mostly in the description of something, or just in the interview or dialogues that the characters has. Pun is a humorous play of words, often involving double meaning. There, like an example, there was a shootout in the Gap. There were many casualties. So here is like a double meaning, and firstly there is a humor comparing it, and you can find the double meaning of this. A man stole a case of soap from the corner store. He made a clean gateway. So here is the humor that we are talking about soap, and the person leaves soap. Soap means clear things, and by this, the authors that like to add some ideas of humor and irony, they use this pun, this stylistic device, and actually it can make your description very vivid. And repetition, the last stylistic device I would like to introduce. This is like repetition is a word or line that is repeated usually to evoke emotional or create a rhythm. So sometimes authors use this repetition to, like we described alliteration, discussed, and there was a repetition of sounds. But repetition is sometimes a word that is repeated more than twice, or sometimes a line a phrase that you use more than once. And in this case, the author wants to evoke some emotion, some tension maybe, or to show that the person was frightened or happy. And through this repetition, he wants us to know and to be familiar with this. Or sometimes it was just done to create a rhythm, and there is a picture of a woman listening to a headphone. So like in music, when we listen to some songs, the authors of the songs, they use this repetition in order to provoke this rhythm. And here is an example of Cirque du Freak by Darren Shan, and there is a repetition. So if you read it, there were so many important moments. If I had missed the ticket, I wouldn't be here. If I hadn't done to the show, I wouldn't be here. If I hadn't stuck around to see what Steve was up to, I wouldn't be here. If I hadn't stolen Madame Octa, I wouldn't be here. If I had said no to Mr. Craftley's office, I wouldn't be here. So the word and also the phrase "I wouldn't be here" is repeated. So this the author wants to emphasize the meaning that the character really tries to find out the main reason, or identifies the meaning of being there at this time. And there is another repetition of if conjunction, and it was done like to underline all the circumstances that brought this person to these consequences. What was done, and he need to understand this, but the person tries to clarify for himself, and he explains it to the reader. So there are lots of other stylistic devices that actually can find reading the books. So and I actually ask you to read, not only just to know the plot of this, but to read it and find some techniques, and if the author make you think about something or recall it, so maybe these stylistic devices helped you to understand the character, and you can address him like your friend. So enjoy reading and stylistic devices. Thank you for your attention.